Hi everyone, it's Elicia. Today I'm going to be reviewing the core emotional healing model that I developed, and I want to do that with you so you can see the visual. Even after this video, you can read more about core emotional healing on my website. So go ahead, and if you're online, go to eliciamiller.com. And the first navigation to click on says work with me. And down that page a little bit, you'll see the core emotional healing model. And you can read about the intro to core emotional healing later on. But I just want you to have this visual pulled up on your computer for afterwards as well. So you can really start to let this process for you, because these are going to be concepts that maybe you'll connect to now, or maybe you'll connect to at some point later on. So I'm going to go over why core emotional healing works, and the model itself explains why it works and why it's often the missing piece, and why other modalities and techniques that you've been trying or relying on haven't fully helped you heal your chronic symptoms, which may be emotional and or physical, and also relationship patterns and other behaviors that are creating suffering for you. Now, a lot of modalities and techniques complement the core emotional healing process, so I'm going to review some of that as well. So first of all, I want to say one question you may have is, does core emotional healing work for everyone? And the answer is no. It does work for most people. I do not recommend doing core emotional healing and working with us if you have a cluster B personality disorder, and or you may have been suggested to you that you do, or you may have been curious about it. So just please work with a mental health professional. If you have bipolar, borderline personality disorder, if you are antisocial or a narcissist, you most likely won't be watching this video or identifying with those things for yourself. If you're histrionic personality disorder. So those, there's specific processes that help with those. So borderline, it's recommended to do DBT, which is dialectic behavioral therapy, and bipolar often needs medication. So if, besides the cluster B personality disorders, yes, core emotional healing has worked for most people, that most anyone that we've worked with, that we know. So yes. Now, core emotional healing, you can see the model I developed. My husband works with me, Doug Miller, PhD, helped formulate the model with me. So the model itself is based on getting to the core. So you see that's in the middle. And the core could be also named as the source or the root of what you're trying to heal from. So that is the root cause and the source of your problems, issues, suffering, behaviors, symptoms. So by focusing on the core and what happened to you in childhood, then it makes it, and healing on that level makes it so much easier to release all of the other things that are also creating suffering. So there's what you experienced as a child. Oftentimes, most likely there's been neglect, Emotional neglect and abuse are at the top. You don't always have to have physical abuse. Many people think they don't need to heal because they didn't experience physical abuse or sexual abuse. People most often associate abuse with those two things, but most of the abuse and neglect we see is all of the ways that your parents could not be there for you on an emotional level, and you were alone in your emotions. You were shamed or made wrong for your feelings, wants, and needs. All of that creates trauma. And from the trauma, so from what you experienced and the pain of what you experienced, that creates the next circle out, which is your memories and emotions, which are oftentimes repressed because it's too much, it's too painful to really experience the truth of it, because you rely on your parents for everything, for survival, for safety. So if the people who are supposed to be keeping you safe are creating unsafety, it's going to be very hard for you to deal with as a child. So the memories and emotions of those experiences get repressed. So it goes into your subconscious. Also, there's limiting beliefs and expectations about yourself, about love, about the world, if the world is going to take care of you or not, if you're worthy of it, if you are lovable or good enough. Oftentimes it creates feelings and beliefs that you are not lovable or you're not good enough. So those are also in your subconscious. You don't actually think these things as a child, but you do believe them. And so that's a really deep seated, ingrained belief that then forms on the next circle out your adaptations. And your adaptations and defenses and protections are all the ways that you try to feel safe, that you try to feel loved, you try to feel valued or good enough. So it's more of the ways that you had to be, which it creates a false self, your adaptive self. So those are, I use those interchangeably. So your adaptive self forms based on your childhood wounds and your beliefs, your limiting beliefs and expectations. So if you believe subconsciously that you're not good enough and that you have to prove your value through being there for others or pleasing others, that forms the people pleaser, the codependent. You may also feel like you have to prove in other ways where you achieve, or you have to be perfect in every way in order to feel good enough and loved. And so that all of these things disconnect you from your truth, from your true expression, your true feelings, your true wants and needs. And those are that's your true self. So there's this wounded part that's getting formed. I mean, there's a wounded part, and then there's a false self that's getting formed based on your wounds, and then there's your true self that's also hidden away with all of this as well. So your true expression, even your gifts and your intuition. So a lot gets neglected through your wounds, and also you become something where you're disconnected from your truth. And you have to do this. This is not making anyone wrong for this. This is a natural way of responding to a traumatic childhood experience. Even if you don't identify with having a traumatic childhood experience, that often means that you have disconnected from your truth about what happened to you and how it impacted you. So that's going to be with the defenses and protections. So in that circle, you have this false self, and then you also have ways that you have formed your ego defenses, your defense mechanisms and protections that keep you from feeling still. We all needed the defenses and protections as children, as I said, to help us feel okay enough to carry on, go to school. So we weren't totally in our wounds and suffering. But what happens is later on, we don't need to keep protecting ourselves because it's not happening anymore. And we're fully resourced adults that can handle feeling some of these things, which is the sadness and anger often of what hurt you. So the defenses and protections and adaptations are so strong that everyone has a hard time even seeing that you're in them. So you may think that you are just the way you are, and this is just who you are. And there's all kinds of tricks our minds play to justify our behaviors and the way we are. Even that you feel good when you give, and it feels good to be there for other people, which it may feel good because that was your only source of feeling loved and valued. You may need to clean your house obsessively, and that you have OCD because that's the only way you feel safe is to have things in order and very neat. You also may need to achieve and be perfect for a while because that's how you feel good about yourself. But that's not actually how you feel good about yourself. It's just a way you're trying to feel better. There's other practices that you may be relying on right now, such as a very structured way of feeling okay. Maybe waking up and having a very structured practice of meditation and yoga. And those are all very good to do and helpful. But if you're relying on these things to help you feel better about yourself, or if you need them to feel okay, if you have a lot of anxiety and it's treating the symptom, it's another way of coping and managing your symptoms. So just know that there's these things that you're using now that help you feel better that are still needed. And that's why it's hard to just stop doing things that you have needed to cope. So it's good to know that all of these things, you're doing them for a reason, because you haven't been able to get to your core emotions, and to take care of those is taking care of your needs that were neglected. Once you do, a lot will shift, and I'll go more into that, where a lot of these things that you're using to manage how you feel or to feel better, then you don't need anymore. But if you start to try to eliminate them before taking care of your core, it's gonna be a struggle, and it may create more suffering. Also, emotional eating is a way for you to comfort these emotions that you haven't yet been supported to take care of yet. So that's why it's hard, and there's ways that people try to not emotionally eat, or do intuitive eating, or hiring eating coaches, but it's still a struggle. It's similar to any addictions and eating disorders. If you're managing the behavior itself, it's going to be a struggle until you heal why you've needed those. What you're trying to numb and comfort needs to be felt. So I just went over all of the things that are typically that you're not aware of. And that's why it's been hard to fully heal and release chronic symptoms and patterns. Because there's a lot that you're not aware of that you need to be supported through to connect and to reconnect from what you've been avoiding and protecting yourself from. So then there's the outer two circles, the problematic relationship patterns, and your symptoms and triggers are in your consciousness. So you're completely aware of these things. Your body is in your awareness. Your body is showing you you have chronic yeast infections, and you have rashes that never go away, or digestive problems and bloating, autoimmune issues, and no matter what you've done, they just keep coming back, or they remain, or they flare up. You've noticed they may flare up when you're emotional. You can see the correlation. There's something more that's causing these physical symptoms. Your emotional triggers are also in your awareness. When you've been triggered, you're highly emotional, or you're angry, sad, or you withdraw really quickly or dissociate. You may hang up the phone or blow up at someone. You may be in your car and you have road rage. You're highly aware of your triggers. You're on social media, you're in Facebook, and there's a lot of triggers flying all over the place there. So family triggers in families, your partner, your children will trigger your unresolved wounds. These are all showing you, your emotional triggers are showing you it's triggering something within you. It's a healing opportunity. So your symptoms are showing you there's something for you to address and heal, and also your triggers are. And that's why I say your symptoms are a gift and your triggers are a gift, because those two are gateways into your subconscious. You are highly aware of them, but you're not aware of the other things, but they are showing you that there is something related to your symptom, related to your trigger, still for you to feel, heal, and take care of from your past. Your problematic relationship patterns, where you may be in a pattern of attracting the same type of relationship, where someone is not there for you, you're always there for them. It's one-sided, or you feel afraid in a relationship. You may be with people who are overpowering and dominating. You may always be the one that supports everyone. That's just, you think that's how you are, but you also experience frustration and resentment from that. And so you may start to notice you don't like this, you don't want to be doing it, but you don't know any other way, because that's all you know. So I have worked with many people who thought that they couldn't be any other way. And through working through the core emotional healing process, all of these adaptations and patterns naturally fall away, and it's easier to choose something different. What's hard is if you don't go into the core and take care of your wounded inner child and feel your feelings fully. There's a process to reconnect to your feelings, which takes a lot of support. It takes consistent support. My husband and I have a 6-month program where both of us are talking to a very small group of people in one group or 2 groups per week. And we process with each person every week for 3 weeks in a row, every month for 6 months on Zoom calls. And then we also support them in a private Facebook group, whatever happened as a result of what we went into for them during the call. And then more things come up for them, or we can help them see how they're avoiding or if they're defended or if they're relying on their adaptation. So, there's a lot that happens, but it does take a lot of awareness, and skilled practitioners like my husband and I both are very intuitive and empathic and skilled with getting to the source of patterns, but also helping people reconnect to their feelings. I'm skilled with inner child work. Doug he's a clinical psychologist for 35 years, and he's been also trained in Gestalt therapy. And so we use a lot of different techniques. I do, like I said, inner child connecting, but also focused on the feelings and how to feel them for each person, how to reconnect to the feelings, how to reparent, what the inner child needs from each person. And Doug is also good at sensing what's happening in the body and on a somatic level as well. And we help each person based on whatever's coming up and move them through the process so they feel that they are supported. They're supporting themselves through this as well, and their inner child to heal enough where they don't need to try to get their needs met anymore outside of themselves in the false adaptation was only there to try to get the needs met in any way possible. But this process is helping you actually take care of your true needs and feelings, so there's no need for the adaptations and protections anymore. And then it's easier to then set boundaries and let go of ways you've been sacrificing yourself and doing things for other people at your own expense. So we've had clients who just never thought they could leave abusive relationships. Actually, they never thought they were in an abusive relationship. We have clients within 6 months leaving abusive relationships, uncovering that they're in one. Things happen fast as well when you're being supported through the process. And then life kind of moves for you and shows you and reveals things as well. But we have clients that also stay in our group program for a year, moving through many, many different layers and wounds that come up over time. This happens over time. You can't deal with everything at once. So it does take a lot of support as you move through it in layers. And everyone is going to be different in terms of how defended you are. So everyone's different in terms of their level of defense and adaptation and resistance. But we do work with people outside of the group program who's in the group program privately and doing experiential processes that are needed. Doug is trained in Gestalt therapy, and he does empty chair work and works with the adaptive self, which is often called the inner critic or sabotager or the judger. And so he'll do that may be too strong and getting in the way of taking care of their needs. We also do experiential processes privately online with our clients who are in our program at times where they need more help because they can't do it themselves, or even through our suggestions of what to do. They need a more like a 2 to 3 hour process sometimes online, where we use objects that help them drop out of their defenses and they can move through things quicker. And we may use props and things like that, and through our own guidance and direction, it will bring things up that they aren't able to connect to on their own. At times we also suggest an energy healer that we work with that can get to things that no one's aware of. We will also suggest plant medicine or ayahuasca for people who just are really stuck, no matter what they've done, that can help really drop into their feelings more. And we also recommend some flower essences that are designed specifically to help release defenses and open up to memories and emotions that have been repressed. So there's other techniques and modalities and therapies that can help with this process as well. also, once you reconnect with your repressed feelings and you learn how to take care of your feelings, then everything else is easier. Life is easier, but also the practices that you have now, like you may have, I worked with someone in my 6-week class, and then we worked with her in a group program and an experiential process, and she had chronic anxiety for her whole life. She was off medications at this point, but just always had this fear and terror. And through all of the processing we did with her, within 1 year, all of that went away. It was like miraculous. It completely changed her life. And so I just wanted to say that this a lot of things that you may be using to reduce your anxiety, for example. So a lot of things that she needed to do just to kind of manage her anxiety, she didn't need to do anymore. So it opened her up to more freedom, and more into her intuitive gifts opened up more as a result as well. So the core emotional healing model and process helps get to the core and heal the root cause of a lot of these long-standing symptoms and patterns, and also it helps you become more of your true self and express your true self and access more of your gifts and intuition. And this happens over time. Doug and I are still working with things as they come up. I have been doing this process, a lot of pieces of the process at first, personally for 10 years. Now it's been 16 years and I'm still working with things. Life is a lot easier, and I am more expressed from my true self and free child. There's parts of me that came out over the last couple of years that I wasn't aware of, that were shamed and made wrong as a child, that I have healed from, and I still work with things as they come up. So the benefit of learning how to work through this process, which is what I'm going to be reviewing in the upcoming videos, is the core emotional healing process, which is different than the model I just went through. The model is why it works. What we do is get people to the core and through all of the strong defenses and adaptations that are preventing them from healing the root cause. And how to do that is what I'm going to be reviewing in the upcoming videos, is going over the actual process that I have developed, which consists of 5 steps that you can review on your own now on the same page on my website, the Work With Me page. So right underneath the model, you'll see the core emotional healing process in the 5 key steps. And of course, they seem simple and easy, but as I said, the hard part is actually reconnecting to your repressed feelings. That sometimes takes many months for some clients. This is impossible to do on your own and quickly, because it takes this consistent support and the support of the group. That's why we do group programs, for other people to open and share, and to see what you are not even aware of within yourself through other people's shares. And our process with other people helps everyone else in the group as well. So it takes 2 of us who are masters at what we do, and the group process and consistency to help move people through all of the resistance, defenses, and protections to get to what you need. Once you do that, it does move quicker. Sometimes people try to heal for 35 years and nothing has worked. And once they do this process, it goes pretty quickly. So let me know if this makes sense to you, if you have any questions. There's a lot to it. And I just wanted to share also that if you could start to look at what you're doing that is just treating your symptoms or managing a lot of these behaviors, that where you're not actually getting to the root cause of it, the core wounds. So you can see there's a lot of things you don't need to live with anymore. There, anxiety and depression, the chronic physical symptoms that are emotionally based, OCD, and you could have insomnia. You could be struggling setting boundaries and saying no, and you don't know why. I've had a client who had a counselor give her the rules of boundaries and kind of made her wrong or shamed her if she didn't follow them. So that is oftentimes when you are struggling with these things that are a result of your wounds, like not being able to say no because you haven't been able to take care of your needs on your own. You're going to it can create more suffering and shame because you're being made wrong for continuing a behavior that was there to try to get your needs met. So you have to take care of your needs first in order for that behavior to go away. So I want you to have compassion for yourself for not being able to get to this on your own or in other means, or if you are struggling with relationships or your own behaviors and eating disorders and overthinking things and being easily triggered in relationships. Just remember, those are all results of your wounds that you haven't been supported through yet to really learn how to take care of. So thank you for being here to learn about how to heal fully, and I look forward to hearing from you, and any questions that you have, please also comment and let me know if there's anything that was like a aha or light bulb for you as well. So I look forward to hearing from you, and also in the upcoming videos where I'll go over the core emotional healing process. It is a step-by-step process. And it's in order. And like I said, you can't jump to boundaries, which a lot of people want. They want to just set healthy boundaries to express themselves, but it's almost impossible until you learn how to take care of your unmet needs and your feelings from childhood that were repressed. So thank you, and remember, your symptoms and your triggers are a gift. I'll see you next time.